In the spirit of this video being all about saving time, I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet. There are things you can do on your Mac to save you time and help you get more done, and in this video, I'm going to share 10 of those tips with you. Okay, let's get into it. If you find yourself having to type the same things out repeatedly, there are 2 tips that you can make use of. The first is text replacement. Head to System Settings, scroll down to Keyboard, and then click on Text Replacements. This is a function of Macs, iPhones, and iPads that's designed to allow you to input small passages of text automatically by typing in a shortcut. So for example, a really common one that people like to use is typing out the @ symbol twice and having that automatically swap out to your email address. You'd set this one up by clicking the plus icon to create a new text replacement. Then in the replace field, you'd type @ and then in the with field, you'd type your email address. Now, each time you type @ in any part of your Mac will automatically replace it with your email address. This is a really handy function that you can use for lots of different things, but it is limited to only work on small passages of text. If you want to use this for something larger, like say a paragraph of text that you often have to input into emails or documents, you can use text snippets, and to do that, do the following. Open the Notes app and create a new note. Then type or copy and paste the text you'd like to input into the note. Then reposition the Notes app so that you can see both Notes and Finder in the same window. And I like to ensure that Finder is showing my desktop, although this isn't crucial. Click and drag to highlight all of your text, then drag that text onto your desktop. This will create a text snippet file, which you can then rename. Now, what I'm going to do is go to my documents or wherever you like, and I'm going to create a new folder called text snippets, and I'm going to put this text snippet into that folder. I'm then going to drag that folder onto the sidebar here so that I've always got it available to me at short notice. Now, next time you're typing out something in an email or a document and you want to insert the paragraph of text we just created, you would simply open Finder, click into the text snippets folder, and drag and drop the file right into your document, exactly where you want it. It's that simple, and I'm sure you can imagine how much time you're going to save by not having to type out a massive chunk of text every single time. A significant time waster on Macs, especially if you're coming to them from a Windows environment, is trying to figure out where on your Mac you currently are. To fix this, so long as you're in Finder, go to View and ensure that Show Path Bar and Show Status Bar are selected. Doing that will then put these 2 bars at the bottom of each of your Finder windows. The top one shows you your current path, and you can click to navigate back if you need to, while the bottom one shows you how large the current folder you're looking at is and how much space you have available on your current drive. Before we go any further, I want to say thank you to the sponsor of today's video, Descript. Descript is an app that makes editing audio and video as user-friendly as editing a document, and thanks to the new storyboard version they've just released, you can now do even more with fewer clicks. If you create videos or podcasts, you've probably used your fair share of timeline editors. They can be really technical and time-consuming. Descript changes all that by letting you work in a more familiar layout and covering a lot of the manual work for you. It'll transcribe your video into a script to start with. Just go ahead and make changes to it like you would a word processing document or a slide deck. Or let's say you've recorded a podcast and you notice a mistake after you've recorded. No more having to get your audio equipment out to fix one small error. Just delete words on screen or use overdub to create brand new audio realistically matched to your voice. But the best part of the storyboard update is the concept of scenes. Divide videos into segments just by tapping slashes into your script, and everything's quicker from there. To add images like your brand logo, simply drag onto the scene. You can even use the built-in media library. The same applies to video, drag it across, and Descript automatically trims everything to fit. You can still change things, but it's slick and intuitive. No more searching through hours of tiny timeline markers. The same goes for titles. I just need to name this guest speaker, for example. The app uses recognizable icons like a toolbar of shortcuts above the canvas. And then you have awesome new AI features to play with, like green screen to replace backgrounds. So if you're new to video or itching to ditch the old timeline method of working, it's easy to get started with Descript. Try it out for yourself using the link in this video's description. You most likely already use Siri on your iPhone, but Siri can also do a lot on your Mac. First of all, ensure that Siri is enabled by opening up System Settings, then choosing Siri and Spotlight, and ensure that Ask Siri is enabled. You can then access Siri through a number of methods. Your Mac can listen out for the standard phrase that you use to access it. I'll put it on screen now rather than say it. If you've got a keyboard layout that looks like mine, you can access it by pressing and holding this button here, or you can click the Siri icon in the menu bar in the upper right. There's loads that Siri can do on your Mac, far too much to cover everything in this one video, but a few good examples of what you can do to save you some time are things like ask it to open a specific app instead of you trying to find it by saying open notes, for example. Set a timer, which can be great if you prescribe to a productivity method like the Pomodoro technique, for example. So you could say set a 25-minute Pomodoro timer. You could say create a note, and then you would speak out the contents of the note once prompted. You could say something like set up a meeting tomorrow at 10, and it will create a blank meeting with the time and date information that you requested, and then you would fill in the blanks. You can ask it to convert for you. I use this all the time. In my business, I often deal in US dollar, but obviously here in the UK, we use the pound. So I often ask Siri to convert dollars into pounds for me. You could also use this for measurements, distances, etc. Spotlight Search is another tool on your Mac that I think most people know exists, but probably aren't making particularly good use of. Simply hit Command and the spacebar on your keyboard, or if you've got a keyboard that looks like mine, you can tap the F4 key and then simply start typing in whatever you're looking for. At its most basic, Spotlight Search can help you quickly find things on your Mac. So if you're looking for a specific file or a specific folder, simply start typing it in and you can then either click into a result or use your arrow keys to navigate through. Use the spacebar to open a preview of the document before committing to fully opening it. You can also use Spotlight to search for emails, provided that you use Apple's own email software. But you can also use Spotlight Search for other, more advanced things, like conversions. If you wanted to find out what $2,000 US were in pounds, for example, simply type $2,000 like you see here, and you can see that Spotlight has already assumed that, with me being in the UK, I might want to see the conversion for it, and you can see it here. But you can also quickly pivot from a computer search to a web search, for example, simply by scrolling down the results and clicking on the Search the Web feature where that shows up. Spotlight will often allow you to skip that step by pretty much running the searches for you and showing them in this section here. My main tip with Spotlight Search is to make a conscious effort to start using it more and see if the things that it can do make a difference to you and your workflow. It's super powerful once you get used to using it. I've talked about smart folders in my Apple Notes tutorials, as it's a relatively new feature there, but did you know smart folders have existed here on your Mac for years now? They're easy to create and can be a great organization tool. A smart folder is a folder that contains a list of files that all have something in common, and the great thing about them is that they will not only group together existing files, they'll also group together any future files that fit the criteria of the smart folder. Let me show you how to make one. We open Finder, then go to File and choose New Smart Folder. To show you how this works, I'm going to create a smart folder that will group together all files that are 1 GB in size or larger, and I'll call it Large Files. So first of all, I'm going to ensure this option is set to this Mac. Then I'm going to press this little plus button over here on the right. In this drop-down, we can choose from a range of options, but as you can imagine, for this, we want to choose file size. In the next field, I'm going to choose is greater than. Annoyingly, there isn't an option to choose equals or is greater than. You have to choose one or the other. So I'll simply say is greater than and then choose 999 megabytes, which is close enough to what I want. You can see that as I type in the criteria, results begin to appear. So you can use this to fine-tune your results. You could add more criteria if you want to. Again, this seems to work on an AND basis rather than an OR basis, so keep that in mind. And when you hit save, you'll be prompted to give the folder a name and can choose to add it straight to the sidebar if you wish, which is probably a good idea. And just like that, you've now got a quick method of being able to see any large files on your Mac at the click of a button. Obviously, there are lots of ways that you could use this, and if you find a particularly helpful use for it, why not drop me a comment and let me know what you did. Safari tab groups are really useful for a couple of different reasons. On the one hand, if you have a collection of websites that you often have open perhaps at the same time, you could create a tab group for them. Maybe for work, you've got a company portal open and maybe a couple of other websites. You could cluster those together into one tab group and call it work. Then instead of having to open each web page individually each time, you just click on the tab group and they'll all load up. The other really good use case for tab groups is sharing information with someone else. Maybe you're researching for a trip, for example. Let me show you what I mean. Let's say that my wife and I are planning a trip, and I've been on all these websites which I think are pretty useful, and I want to share them all with her. So what I could do is go to File, and then choose New Tab Group with 3 tabs. The tab group is created, and I can see it in the sidebar here on the left. I can rename it if I want to. But then where this is really useful is I can choose Share, and I can then share the tab group with my wife. So rather than sharing individual links, she just gets one invite to a tab group in Safari and can then open up the sites at her leisure and see the same information that I've been looking at. She can even add new tabs to the group, which I can then view at my side. How many times have you double-clicked on a file on your Mac only for it to open up in an application that you didn't want it to open up in? There's a really easy fix for this. Find a file in Finder, left-click to select it, then press the Command key and the I key on your keyboard. This will give you information about the file, which in this example is a WAV file. Under Open With, select the application you'd like all WAV files to open with in the future. Once you've done this, you'll never again have to worry about a file opening up in the wrong application. By the way, if you're enjoying the content, why not consider signing up for my newsletter, The Proper Weekly? I include some tech news, a behind the scenes of what's happening here on the channel, as well as a tip for a product in the Apple ecosystem. The newsletter goes out each Friday, it's free to sign up, and I'll include the sign up link in the description of this video. If you use your Mac to work with images, there are a couple of quick actions that you should absolutely be aware of. Firstly, if you right-click on an image file, then head to Quick Actions, you can choose Remove Background. This will obviously have more success with some images than it will with others, but your Mac will quickly create a copy of the image with the background removed. Also under Quick Actions, you can convert the image. This is great if you need to convert the image from one file format to another, so maybe change a JPEG to a PNG for example, but you can also keep the same file format but alter the size of it. So if you've ever had a situation where you've tried to upload a photo online but been told the file is too big, this is a really quick way of resolving that issue. You simply choose the format you want to change to and the image size. This also works if you select multiple images, even if they're all different formats. And on the topic of selecting multiple images in the same format, you can right-click, choose Quick Actions, and then choose Create PDF. Your computer will immediately create a PDF of the images, and if you double-click to open it up, you can even organize the images in whatever order you like. And then finally, you can mark up an image. You can do that using your keyboard and mouse if you like, or if you own an iPhone or an iPad, you can tap this button, choose the relevant option, and your computer will immediately open the image on your device for you to mark up over there. System Preferences has had a visual overhaul on the Mac recently, and while everything is still there, you do now have to get used to a new way of navigating through the available options. Did you know, however, that if you want to quickly jump straight into a specific part of system settings, you can simply click and hold on the icon in your dock, and you'll get this list of options appear on screen. Simply click on the one that you want, and settings will open in that menu. And finally, you no doubt already know that you can take a screenshot by pressing Command, Shift, and the number 5 on your keyboard. Then choose from whether you want to take a screenshot of the entire screen, or a portion of it, or a specific window. If you choose Window, notice that when you take a screenshot, you get this shadow on the screenshot. Some people really like the way this looks, others don't, but if you want to take a screenshot without it, simply hold the Option key as you press Capture. Also, your screenshots will by default go to your desktop. If you'd prefer to instead have them go to the clipboard, ready for you to paste into a document, simply hold the Control key as you capture the screenshot. And both of the aforementioned buttons will work together. So if you'd like a screenshot with no background and for it to go to your clipboard, press Command, Shift, and 5 on your keyboard, then hold the Control and Option key together while you press Capture. Easy. So there you go, that's 10 ways that you can use your Mac to get more done much more quickly. What do you think? Any good tips that I've missed from this list? Drop me a comment and let me know. And as ever, if you found this video useful, do please consider leaving me a like and subscribing to my channel for more content like this in the future. See you on the next video.